Shalom. I am here to talk about autism, but I'm not a doctor, I'm not a professor nor a researcher. I am a mother of a 27-year-old man with autism. And so I'd like to explain autism to you through our family journey, if you don't mind. And yes, Gio, my son, before 1 year old, and Gio about 2 years ago. Okay, he has grown a little bigger now because of the lockdown, I think. Okay, so when Gio was 7 years old, my husband and I composed a short poem. We called it the Before and After, meaning Gio before and after his diagnosis. My husband and I are Filipino citizens with Chinese blood. Okay, so my husband thought that Gio would be like Confucius, so wise. But instead, we got so confused. Autism spectrum disorder, autism in short, is a typical, different neural development of the brain. So it's not something like falling down from a tree, hitting a rock, or getting sick with something and then autism is there. No? So autism is from infancy. So when G was born, this is one of my life's milestones, greatest milestone, becoming a mother for the first time. We were so happy, and we never thought that he has autism because autism is not detected at birth. There is no physical test to check if he has autism upon birth. Developmental pediatricians and other professionals will diagnose through behavior modifications at around 3 years old. There are no physical markers. Unlike others like the Down syndrome, where you can easily see, or those born blind, where you can easily check if they cannot see or not. So there are no physical markers, and it is across race and other demographic areas: rich, poor, brown, white, yellow. It's across. Okay. And so as a parent, as a mother, our first step was to find a support group. And I met a lot of co-parents like them who became like family members. We offered support group before the lockdown, and even now online. So this is a typical scene during a support group. Everyone is on video conferencing. My husband was a frustrated doctor. His family couldn't afford sending him to medical school. So he said his son, his firstborn, will become the doctor in the family. Instead, we've been to a lot of doctors, asking around what to do with Gio, and it was explained to us that the cause of autism is still unknown. There are now scientific researches pointing to a combination of genetic and environmental factors, but definitely not refrigerator parents. They did not become autistic because we did not cuddle them enough, because we did not show love, because we did not hold them tight. No, I can say that, especially in our case, because Gio is the most weighted baby. And in terms of data, not all countries have data about autism, but in countries where they were able to do studies, 1 to 2% of the population has autism, and that, according to the Center for Disease of USA, for every 59 births, 1 will be diagnosed with autism, and there are 4 boys to 1 girl. I thought that we could afford sending our son to an exclusive school. My husband and I weren't able to go to an exclusive school. So we said, he will be enrolled in an exclusive school. But the doctors told us to enroll him in a special needs school. Look at Gia. So all the other kids are either staring at him, including his two brothers. No? He didn't want to join the picture taking. He didn't want to play with the other kids. Because autism has a dyad of impairments. And the first one is social interaction and communication. So Gio was not playing with other kids, and he was not talking past 2 years old. So we enrolled him in a special school, and he never stepped on a regular school. But autism is a spectrum condition. While all of them share the same difficulties of socialization and communication, they are affected in different ways. Some would have comorbidities, like learning disabilities. That's usual, that's kind of common among them. No? Cody Lee, our champion for America's Got Talent, is also blind, aside from having autism. But some of them have capabilities that can make them excel in academics, like Dr. Temple Grandin. Dr. Temple Grandin was so hyper-focused and so obsessive with cattle chute engineering. So she would design cattle chutes, and in her photographic memory, she would see her designs in 3D. But for kids, for persons like Gio, they can take hold of activities, sessions offered by organizations like Autism Society Philippines. So every Saturday, Gio attends these sessions, no? One on art. So Gio's not an artist, it's just a model, but he can produce something pretty enough, okay? And other things. And they would prepare food. Okay, so Gio would interact with the rest of the household members by sharing by what he prepared, no? And also, Gio is not very athletic, but he was able to join ball handling basics and dribble some balls. Now, I think that's him coming on. That's him, see? He can dribble, okay. And they have fun having camp, having tents inside the home, okay? We use curtains and blankets and even costume parties. There's Mr. Incredible. Aside from them, we parents should continue equipping ourselves, especially now that that everything is online. So we held different seminars for parents, webinars, no, if you call them, and we continued our advocacy for autism inclusive community. And of course, we also tackled subjects like vaccine. Tantrum. We got our share of people staring at us when Gio would suddenly roll on the floor and cry. And we know people are looking at us and thinking that we didn't know how to discipline our kid. So we were taught by Gio's teachers to practice behavior modification. And there are different techniques of doing that, which a teacher can teach you if you're interested. Because autism is a sensory processing disorder. They are either over or undersensitive with five senses. So for some, the sound of a fruit juicer may sound like cannons or bombs to them, or the feeling of the label of shirts can also be very painful to them. And so some would start reacting, and people will not understand, why is he crying, why is he throwing tantrums? Because ASD is characterized also by repetitive motor movements. So Gio would flick, some would rock, some would bang their heads, no? And some have rituals, like Gio would line up shampoos and lotions. Others would do things a certain way, and others can also be fixated. My son Gio used to like keys and anything dangling, and will play with them till kingdom come unless we manage his behavior. So again, there's the dyad of impairments. Aside from social interaction and communication, they do repetitive and stereotypic movements. And a lot of people will find it or weird when they see someone doing those repetitive movements. In our case, like I said a while ago, we learned how to modify Gio's behavior or manage his behavior. So during parties, he would be crying, we would just be smiling and smile. When he starts laughing, his papa would be so cool about it. And when he's laughing, his mama will laugh with him. So people will think that we're just laughing together. But it's not just within the family. Sometimes Gio will do things differently, like start laughing in front of the supermarket cashier. And as you can see the reaction of the cashier, she didn't know how to react. No? So our tool for this is to educate people, and in partnership with the Philippines' biggest chain of malls, we started offering sensitivity programs for their frontliners, like their security guards, like their housekeepers. And we realized that when people are educated, not only are they aware of what autism is, but understanding and compassion are developed. And so we thank partners who have been on the journey with us and who continue to support our cause. My husband and I are both talkers. We talk a lot. And so we thought that when Gio started babbling, started saying 3 words at around 1 year old, we thought he's going to be a great talker like us. Well, for 24 years now, Gio has been under one of the country's best speech pathologists. And they're still at it. And now he can talk with pictures. He uses the tablets. He uses gestures. He uses some verbal approximations. But then, like I said, autism is a spectrum. Some of them may not be able to talk, like my Gio, but some of them can be like Greta Thunberg, who is a climate activist, climate change activist, and was even chosen as Person of the Year by the Time magazine. But for people like Gio, we parents, of course, bond together and we speak for them. And in our country, we have 100 chapters nationwide the Autism Society Philippines, and in the ASEAN region, we have the ASEAN Autism Network composed of 10 member countries. We share platforms, we share best practices. In 2014, we decided to make history. We were doing Angels Walk since the year 2000, but in 2014, we courageously agreed to hold it in the arena of the Mall of Asia, which can house as much as 26,000 people. And, 16,000 only. But, you know what? They came. And last year, there were more than 24,000 autism angels walking around the mall. Now that we're quarantined, we still did the Angels Walk for Autism. We're still doing it now. Okay, so instead of gathering together in the arena, families all over the country are doing their Angels Walk. During events like the Angels Walk for Autism, we would feature wonderful performers on the spectrum. And even the last time we did it online, they were even able to have online duets with our local celebrities. And so when I tell people that my son, Gio, is autistic, they would immediately ask me, "So Mom, what's your special talent?" Well, I think Gio can pass for a print model, okay, like his mom. But at home, we are now training him to be an all-around maid, okay? So may we make sure that he is productive, doing household chores, aside from his usual puede sessions on art, and sports. He does a lot of exercise because he gained a lot of weight during the quarantine. So we'd like to emphasize that only 10% of the autism population has savant abilities. This is Stephen Wiltshire, an architectural artist who can paint the entire city with all the architectural details from his photographic memories. But, like we said, not all autistic persons are savants, and not all savants are autistic. 10%. Okay? But even if they are not savant, and if they cannot be do things like others can, like my Gio, he is a homeboy. We call him a homeboy. But remember, autism is a spectrum, and so some of them can be gainfully employed even if they don't have special talents. But they can work with our partners. And so Autism Society Philippines partnered with different business organizations to give them opportunities to work, no? And give livelihood, also opportunities in the office of Autism Society Philippines. And even now that we're on lockdown, we're still finding jobs for them online. I cannot show this more than enough. Autism is a spectrum. They share certain difficulties, but affected in different ways. But we believe that all of them, whichever side of the spectrum they are, that we can prepare an environment that helps them to become to the best of their potentials, whether they're my Gio or those savants, to become self-reliant, independent, productive, and accepted members of society. In Asian countries, the eldest brother usually takes over the father when they grow bigger, when they grow older. And Gio is the eldest of my 3 boys. And so he said he will be his brother's leaders. his brothers growing up in a home that talks about autism freely and happily. They have become his mentors and protectors. They join all our advocacy events. And this is my favorite, one of my favorite stories. When my youngest, Chinoy, was in his 5th grade, his teacher was telling them not to laugh aloud in public or people will think they're autistic. And then she started laughing, as if finding it funny. And so my 11-year-old boy then said, he said, I find that offensive. And in his own way, he started explaining what autism is about. And in fairness, the teacher apologized to him. Thank you, my Chinoy. Because autism is not psychological. It is not psychiatric. It is not a mental disorder. And people sometimes would think they are and would laugh at them and make fun of them. And that's why we launched an online campaign about, we called it Isang Pangako, or One Promise, where we ask people to pledge online that they will not use the word autistic as a joke. I hope you do. My husband's family is the traditional Chinese family who are happy when the children will bring honors to the family, and that means scholastic honors. Of course, we know that Gio was not able to go to a regular school. He did not become a doctor. He can't speak yet. But he makes us all happy. He taught us a lot of things. He taught us about unconditional love, about patience, and every night when I see him at home, he just puts a smile on my face. But guess what? We didn't expect it. We were not aiming for it. We did not start, my husband and I did not join the advocacy for this, but yes, Gio brought honors to us. Not just the ASEAN prize, but a lot more honors from different organizations. To him be the glory. Thank you, Lord, for giving me Gio. Just like other parents, my husband and I were praying every night. And I would be dreaming that one day a miracle cure will be invented. Just like the vaccine. And that Gio will be cured of autism. You know what? Autism is a lifelong developmental disability. And with the right interventions, they can live rich, fulfilled lives. Some can live relatively independent, while others, like Gio, may require lifetime support. But it is not a disease. Autism is not a disease. It is simply a variation of the human condition. They're different, but not less. That's what Dr. Temple Grandin said. No, the mother. Okay? And so, while the World Autism Awareness Day is being celebrated every 2nd of April, we say that it is not just awareness. What we need, acceptance, accept them for who they are, how they are, different though they may be in terms of some behaviors, to accommodate their special needs so they can easily blend in with our community, and to appreciate them for what they can contribute to society, because they can. They have the capabilities to contribute to the society. He will be cured. Instead, we were healed. I'd like to end my talk with my Bible verse from John 9. Jesus was asked by his apostles, who sinned, the man who was born blind or his parents? And Jesus said that neither of them sinned, but that it happened, the blindness of the man, of the son, it happened so that God's mighty works might be displayed in him. And in our family, and in the families of others like Gio, we've seen God's works every day. God bless.